Podcast. Hey guys, remember last year when we had Wells, Jared, when he wasn't my fiance or even my boyfriend, and Cupcake on to talk about what they didn't get about relationships, women, all that stuff, what they didn't get in general? Well, today we're doing it again, and Jared's back, and this time the single men on the podcast will be Jason Tartick and Nick Viall. So we're going to leave you guys for a little while and maybe interrupt a couple times here and there, but enjoy the male perspective. Ladies, do you have anything else to say?
I just want to say that we're obviously pre-recording this, and I can't wait to listen to this because I'm going to be listening to it back when like our listeners are listening to it. I'm like kind of like nervous as to like what they're going to say.
No, remember last year? I feel like it was the only podcast of ours that I actually listened to in the car.
There you go.
Yeah.
Because I was like, what does Jared say? What can I do?
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
So we hope you guys enjoy it.
Hey guys, welcome to an all new episode of Help I Wait a minute. Where am I? Wait a second.
Did you do that on purpose?
This isn't where I parked my car. I might have done a little bit on purpose. Guys, this is the I Don't Get It podcast, as you well know. Or ladies, I should say, this is the I Don't Get It podcast. But we're changing things up today.
Why are you implying that no men will listen to this podcast?
Because most of their demographic is female. Let's just be honest. We've seen the numbers. But we're changing things up. This is going to be a guy central podcast hosted by three men. Argument could be
Debatable.
made for boys. Yeah. Argument definitely could be made for boys. Myself, I'm joined by the beautiful, the handsome. He really needs no introduction. You know him. Nick Viall is here. And we have a special guest. He is over the phone because currently he's in Seattle. Another man that needs no introduction. Jason Tartick, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, guys, for joining. Yeah. Give ourselves a round of applause. So we're pretty much going to talk about things that we don't get about women, which is quite a lot. Nick is drinking a glass of red wine right now.
I understand everything. I don't.
That's a valid point. He does. Anytime I need advice on the other gender, bud. I just ask Nick.
Yeah.
So I have a beer.
Just
Jason, what are you
confirmed by
drinking over
my
there?
relationship
I got
status.
a Canadian beer over here, all the way in Seattle, Washington.
What type of Canadian beer are you drinking?
Labatt's Blue Light.
Labatt's?
And I don't know if you've been to a Buffalo Bills tailgate, but everyone wears Zuba pants. If you don't know what they are, you should Google them. They look like tiger print.
Yeah,
and it's got tiger print on it.
No, I'm a Patriots fan, so I go to the winning teams. Tailgate.
No, but I know what Zuba pants are. I'm a child of the 80s. That's an 80s fashion statement.
Zuma pants?
Zuba.
Yeah, they're like, you don't know what those are?
You know what they're like?
I've heard the name.
Hammer.
They're MC Hammer pants with like hybrid with tigers. And
do either one of you own a pair of those?
Are you kidding me?
But I probably wanted one as a kid. But.
So there's not a Buffalonian that doesn't own a pair because people still to this day rock them. And then what they created for all the women, all the Buffalonians own Zubas, and what they created for women now are Zuba's leggings. So they're legging pants with the Zuba print. It's unbelievable.
Say leggings again.
Leggings,
baby. There's no G.
Leggings?
Is that, did I add a G?
No, you dropped the G because it's like leggings.
Leggings? What do you say?
Leggings?
If I say it quickly, I think I say leggings. Leggings. I don't know. That's a good question. I mispronounce all my words, though. I was actually recently I was watching back some all right, so I did some college films. I was a theater major for a little while, and I actually met up with one of my buddies who directed the film. And I was watching myself back, trying to articulate some words, and it was pretty embarrassing. I'm not going to lie. I dropped so many R's, I didn't even realize it, and add so many A's. It's pretty bad. Jason probably has somewhat of the similar thing being from the Northeast Buffalo.
Yeah, we got huge issues with our A's. Everything is so like nasally and A and we screw them all up. But
I know.
Some people in the West Coast I've learned like absolutely hate it, and then some are like, "Oh, your accent's cute." I'm like, "Oh, thank you. I appreciate it."
I think those people just like your face.
Oh, you stop.
They like your face and the accent. The accent makes you more adorable. All right, so this is obviously a podcast called the I Don't Get It podcast, where Ashley, Naz, and Lauren talk about things that they just really don't get about not only men, but life in general. And Nick, I kind of want to talk to you for a second. You're single right now.
Yeah.
You are in the dating pool, as they say. Both of you guys are. Both of you guys are single, out there mingling. Are there things that you guys are just kind of mystified about the dating world as of right now, from a guy's perspective? or even not even just dating, but about life in general, putting yourself out there? Are there things where you're like, why am I doing this? Why is this person doing something?
Where do you want to, I would say this, where do you want to start? I mean, do you want to talk about where to find people, the methods in communicating, what you wear on a first date embarrassing things that have happened? I mean, the list can go on.
Have you guys ever
what don't you understand, Jason?
What I don't understand.
So like, do you have are you confused about, do you have questions about like what you wear on a first date, or do you have an opinion? Like, do you judge a girl? Not like judge necessarily in a negative way, but are you?
The answer is yes.
Are you curious about what she wears on a first date? Like, does that say something?
So I think the overarching theme here is like presentation and what maybe like your attraction, right? And I think that even backs up before what you'd wear to a first date. If you look at the phases of dating, I think there's like this like search phase, and it's either where you're introduced to someone, you meet them on an app, you DM them, or you meet them in a common place. And I think even before getting to what you're wearing on a first date, it's like in 2018, that is the craziest process. This whole where do you meet and like the beginning phases of dating.
It's the craziest process because you're planning to meet someone. What do you mean planning a first date?
No, I'm saying my thing is like your first interaction. I think what's so intriguing today in 2018, when you ask someone, where did you guys meet? Because 10, 20, 30 years ago, the answer was either A, B, or C. Today, it's A, Z. It could be anywhere, any story, any app, any place.
Totally.
You could be in Alaska and dating someone in Italy, and it's normal. It's
all over the place. Even that Aziz Ansari book, which I mean might not be the best reference now. I think it's fine. Was it Modern Romance? But he talks about that, about how like 30 years ago, statistically speaking, most women married men that lived in their same neighborhood. And obviously those numbers have dropped increasingly as the world has become more communicating with each other.
Well, the world is smaller, obviously. Access to people has...
Thank you, Jason.
It's all about access. Access has grown exponentially.
Totally. And I think also the way we look at love has changed. Like, even in the same book, they talk about how, like, 30 years ago, women would marry men because, well, it's what you do in society. I want to start a family. He's a good man. Like, it's just kind of like the course of the way things went. And today, it's far different. Women are looking for their soulmate. They're looking for the person they want to spend the rest of their life with. And so people are getting married at a later age.
That's different?
Absolutely. How do you not
think you think people aren't looking for their soulmate?
I think 30 years ago, people were getting married at a younger age with somebody that maybe they didn't deem, or maybe they as their soulmate, because they were more so looking for different things. They were looking to start a family. They were looking to settle down.
But you think that 30 years ago, people were being like, I'll marry you, but I know you're not my soulmate?
I don't think they thought about the soulmate. I think it's only now in recent years become this very heightened way of looking at a relationship.
I kind of disagree.
Here's my thought on that, is that I think because of social media and where we are today, there's this appeal for the pursuit of perfection, right? So it's people want this imaginary thing, the perfect looking person with the perfect job and the perfect career and the perfect family, and this pursuit of perfection that just doesn't exist. Like dating is not easy, and relationships are hard. It's a partnership. It's a two-way street. And that image of perfection is what everyone's chasing. I think it's leading to a lot of issues in the dating world.
Well, like Nick said, the world is becoming smaller. And the thing about that is you have more options. So I think people are cutting their relationship a little bit earlier than they would years ago.
I mean, I definitely think it's paralysis of choice, kind of like what Jason said. Also, I mean, just society. You kind of to Jared's point. Our parents and a generation before, it was very normal to you just got married when you were like under 25. And when I was younger, I just always assumed I'd get married under 25. That's different now. I disagree with you saying that. Again, because it's all perspective. I think I think my parents would describe each other as thinking I found my soulmate,
and they're very lucky.
Married. But like you just don't know the difference. Kind of like the world was larger than smaller. You just had less access to people. So kind of like what you didn't have the internet, and it wasn't so easy to like fall in love with a girl from Italy or New York or whatever. So like you just didn't know the difference. So what was in front of you was the best thing you could imagine, and so they were your soulmate. I mean, that like in perception, I don't like really believe in soulmates, but I do think subsequently people where I get the most frustrated with dating is the fact it makes us lazier.
How so?
Well, it's like this thing where because access is so abundant and you can, and I think sometimes, you know, when I talk to women, or even Ashley has mentioned this, is that like a lot of women, especially with online dating, you know, when you're online dating, you open yourself up to this pool of people. And then if you start talking to a girl, right, like she's talking to other guys. I mean, you know, it's not like this exclusive, you're kind of like throwing darts against the wall.
Totally.
And it's sometimes your peers sometimes can make you look bad in the sense that you get easily discouraged on things like that. Or if you're sliding into someone's DM, so to speak, you know, if it's the type of girl who, say it's a very attractive, she's getting a bunch of DMs, and it can just get very discouraging. So they never, like, it's like you never get to the point where actually you could go grab a cup of coffee or have a drink, you know? And it's just like, it just becomes it's almost like you're fighting against all these people you'll never interact with, these guys, but and it's become like it's exhausting that way.
Totally. To bounce off your point, what I really liked what you said was people have become lazy. And I agree with that, because the idea of somebody who's being single and then putting themselves out there is no longer going out more or like putting themselves out there in the physical world. It's so much more putting themselves out there on their phone, whether it be dating apps or social media, which is interesting to me because it's really as great as dating apps are, and I definitely condone them. It's interesting that like it does provide a certain level of laziness, because you don't really need to like actively physically put yourself out there, because the way you put yourself out there nowadays is signing up on your phone.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier to just message someone or DM someone without walking up. Obviously, like I think verbal communication has suffered as a result of the internet and things like that. But I think it's a two-way street too. I mean, like I've actively tried to force myself to get out in the dating world the past several months. I was kind of, after my breakup, I kind of hibernated for a minute. You know, it's not that easy to just kind of jump back out there, you know, publicly. But I've actively tried to do that. And so there's this balance, because, again, not just me, I think everyone gets discouraged because, as Jason said, dating is hard. And it's harder now because there's too many options, and flaking and things like that happen because when you have all this access, like you're like, you might be like writing this girl and not even realizing that maybe you're competing against like 10 other dudes she's messaging, kind of thing. Yeah. And like she'll make plans with you, and you're like, oh, she flakes or something because like, I don't know, something comes up, or like there's so many different things. You get so discouraged, right? And then the traditional thing is, what do people say about dating? It's like, well, it shouldn't be that hard. You know, it should come naturally. And they have this like this idea in their head back and forth between like, should it be like, I want it to come naturally, and it's like this kind of thing in your head where you're like, I don't want to force it, kind of thing, where I'm forcing it because I want to be in a relationship, but like you also have to like take your swings and be willing to strike out these days, because it's just not that fucking easy.
Totally. It begs the question of like, how easy should a relationship be? Because I think a lot of people just immediately assume, well, if this is the love of my life, it's going to be very easy, when in actuality, a relationship can be very difficult.
Okay, so I have a confession to make. So I used to work at Victoria's Secret way, way back in the day when I was in high school. And one of the requirements that you needed to have when you worked at Victoria's Secret was to measure people's bra sizes. And I was very young, in my teens, and I feel like when I was measuring people's breast size to get their correct bra size, I'm pretty sure I gave some inaccurate information. So I may be the reason why you or someone you know is wearing the wrong bra size. But no worries, guys, because ThirdLove is about to save your life. So ThirdLove is a bra company that all three of us are obsessed with. And using thousands of real women's measurements, ThirdLove designs its bras with breast size and shape in mind so that they fit impeccably and feel even better. And I'm telling you guys, this is the best fitting bra I have ever put on my body. They actually just added 24 new sizes, making them the industry leader with a total of 70 sizes. What other bra company do you know has that many sizes? But my absolute favorite thing about them is that you can skip the trip to a bra store and you don't have to deal with any awkward fitting room experiences because you can find your fit literally in 60 seconds online, order it, and try it on at home. They have this really awesome fit finder quiz, and all you have to do is answer a simple few questions to find your perfect fit. And it's actually fun, and it takes less than a minute. Like, did you guys know that breast shape matters when finding a good fit? Well, ThirdLove helps you identify your breast size and shape and find styles that fit your body. They have cups from A through H, bands up to 48, and each size is designed specifically for a perfect fit. 50% of women fall in between standard cup sizes, so ThirdLove invented half cup sizing, which is so clutch because Ashley and Lauren actually are a half cup size. And this ThirdLove bra is like life-changing for them. I have to tell you guys also about the comfort and quality because hands down, it is the most comfortable bra I've ever owned. They have tagless labels, so you're not like itchy, you know, like those stupid labels that make you itch. And the straps don't slip off. Like, how many of us are constantly like bringing our strap up back up to, you know, our shoulders so that it fits? And they have ultra soft smoothing fabrics, and it's super lightweight, super thin. It looks great under t-shirts, and ThirdLove will guarantee a perfect fit. So returns and exchanges are free and easy. Who doesn't love that? So ThirdLove knows there's a perfect bra for everyone. So right now they are offering our listeners 15% off their first order. So all you guys have to do is go to thirdlove.com/getit right now to find your perfect fitting bra. And again, like I said, you'll get 15% off your first purchase. That's thirdlove.com/getit for 15% off today. All right, back to the podcast.
Jason, I want to get your thoughts about, like, did you take a hibernation period after you left the Bachelorette? Because I'm pretty sure that you've already stated this. You said no to Paradise, right?
Yes, I said no to Paradise.
And so did you like feel like you kind of just, after that experience with Becca and the entire show, you kind of wanted to just like step back for a second?
Yeah, it was just a lot. You know, it was a lot in a short period of time. And again, you know, to fall in love in a place you don't expect to, and then to fall in love, or not, maybe not to expect, but not to know. And then you fall in love, and then you're heartbroken. And then usually when you break up with someone, it's over, it's in the past, you close the door, you move on. To relive it the whole summer, I got to say it was exhausting. And Totally. It was exhausting because there's so many things behind the scene on the show that you don't see in the relationships that people hold near and dear to their heart, which I can appreciate, but then you see them unfold in front of your face. And I watched that breakup probably 2 or 3 times, one before Men Tell All, and then one live when it aired. And I watched all of them by myself. And each time, still, legitimately, authentically, with every bone in my body, 2 or 3 months later, I was still crying. And I think I was crying because I remember how like sad that place I was when it happened. And I'm well over it now, and I'm happy that Becca and Garrett are together. But kind of taking a couple steps back to the earlier conversation, now that I am back in the dating game, one of the biggest challenges I have is that it was easier when I was 21 than when I'm now 29, more mature, educated, etc., to identify if someone actually is single. Because in this world we live in, I think that especially for millennials, it's this thought and theme and mission of just appealing to the masses, appealing to the people. And not necessarily does appealing mean showing that you're in a committed relationship. So
what do you mean? Or like where?
So Nick, have you ever stumbled across maybe someone's DMs
all the time
comment? Let's say they comment on something and you look and you're like, okay, I wonder what the deal is with this person. And A to Z on that Instagram, there is no sight of a boyfriend in line.
Well, sure, yes. And I mean, I figure that's where you're going. I mean, when it comes to the internet, yes, I don't think you can. It is not clear people's relationship status. You certainly can't, I think to Jason's point, you cannot assume by looking at their Instagram, because it's also like out of context too. Like, I mean, I didn't delete any pictures when Vanessa and I broke up, right? So if you were, say, a girl going on my page, say a month after we broke up, it would seem like I'm in a relationship, you know? I mean, you don't know. I think when it comes to your point, I think I just never assume. Yeah. I can get an idea. It's just like, maybe. But kind of to Jason's point, like, I think if you, there are a lot of women who are like, well, there was one, like, I'm like, you got a boyfriend? Like, you go back 2 years and there's no sign. And it's like fairly provocative pictures, you know? It's like, it's like, okay. But also, I think to your point, Jason, like, you have, with being on the show and having a following, I'm sure you're getting messages and comments from women where you would think it seems weird for you to say this, given that you might have a boyfriend or a husband, but I don't know. That's just kind of, I think that's just the weird position you are in.
That we all go in, totally.
No, but like, do you think people are doing that?
Yes.
Regardless
if they're in a relationship or not?
No, I mean, like, let's assume Jason was never on the show. Okay. And he didn't have, like, say a year ago, right? Like, were you getting, I'm not saying it didn't never happen, but with the regularity, obviously it happens now, were you getting, like, DMs and comments from girls who it seemed like they probably might be in a relationship based off their Instagram?
I think you make a good point. Obviously, like, the inflow and obviously things are, like, a lot different, right? You make a good point with that.
But I do agree with you that, like, if you were, say, just cruising on the Instagram and you came across this profile and you're like, well, this is a really attractive girl, and, you know, I'm not jumping to conclusions, but I'm interested.
Have you guys ever,
and like, it's hard to tell to figure out if they're in a relationship.
Have you guys ever had an experience when you were talking to someone online, whether it be Instagram, social media, dating apps? Oh, I guess maybe dating apps are excluded because of the next question. Have you ever been talking to somebody online that you were talking to and ended up having a boyfriend?
No. Well, I mean, I didn't like...
Not like bad conversation, but like just conversation that was kind of like banter and flirty. Maybe you slid into their DMs or they slid into yours. And then like after like a couple days, it was like weirdly brought up.
No, I didn't. No, I haven't experienced that.
I would say I absolutely have experienced that. And when the second I find out if there is a boyfriend, I want absolutely nothing to do with that or things like that. But I'll even say I've seen DMs, and this is just kind of a little nauseating, but I've seen DMs from someone that's like, relatively aggressive, and then you click on their profile and like you see that that's just like nauseating.
Oh yeah, I've definitely.
But the reason they slide into your DMs, Jason, is because they are so willing to just break up with whoever the hell their boyfriend is, just for like a minute
also,
with
like,
you.
It's like hall pass. They don't think you're gonna reply. Totally. It's like that's not. Yeah.
I think that's the weird. I guess the theme of this though is that like now that when your dating scene is relatively public, it just changes that whole outlook. And I want to be more sensitive to that. I mean, like even like a stupid, unrelatable thing almost. I'm at a WWE event, and one of the Bella twins throws a shirt at my face, and it hits me dead square in the face. And I write a comment, like she put a picture up that day, and I write a comment, you just nailed me square in the face. And she writes back, oh, kisses to your face. Sorry about that, with like a couple kiss marks.
Which one was it? The one who's
with? It was Nikki with John Cena. And then I see, like, I have Google alerts on my phone number. I see a Google alert today. Nikki commenting on guy from Bachelors after reuniting with John Cena. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Oh,
like,
good for you.
I was about to say,
nicely
done, Jason. Nicely done.
I want nothing to do with John Cena coming after me.
Oh, he's a big bear.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's a sweetie.
Before you knew that, were you commenting on her page because who knows?
No.
Come on. Like you didn't.
Isn't it weird to think about, though? We have the power to comment on somebody's page and immediately people assume that we're dating them or like trying to flirt with them. Isn't that weird to think about?
I just think people are trying to create something out of nothing. I think more to your point. I think Jason might have actually commented because he was curious if she would see it and reply before he realized that he would never have done that. Obviously, had he known that she was back with John Cena, but before.
No, the reason I commented is because it was just like an emotional reaction. Like, she posted the picture, she hit me in the face. Holy shit! Oh my god!
Since you have grown a following, Jason, and have become this international superstar, have you?
It's like Pitbull.
And be honest, have you? DM'd or commented or liked anyone's page of any public persona with the curiosity, I wonder now if I might have access to get this person's attention.
So I've only done it once.
I don't need names. I just want a yes or no answer.
Oh, I don't even care. I would share the story.
Okay, great. Let's hear it.
Because I still want her to respond.
Yeah.
Let's
put it out there in the world.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's actually kind of funny because I had a crush on her forever. But
let's hear the story then.
Garrett and I were with one of our producers, and you guys will know who she is. And she did this clapping thing that's from Pitch Perfect. It goes like
Megan Firestone.
Yeah, it goes on. So we finally get it down. And I put it on my Instagram, and Brittany Snow, who was an actress.
Who's Brittany Snow?
She was an actress in Pitch Perfect.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Also, international superstar.
Listen, I'm going for my crush, okay? Anyway, so you go for Jennifer Lawrence. She's the best. But anyway, I found a common friend that knew her. And I was like, could you do me, who I had access to because of the show? And I said, could you do me a favor? Brittany Snow commented on this. She thought it was funny. I'll see you at auditions. I was like, could you reach out to her if possible and put in a good word? And she's like, absolutely. Like, I would endorse and approve that. And long story short, Brittany Snow is very happily in a relationship and they're moving in together and I'm very happy for them. But like, that was an example of like, now that I know this person, I wonder if I can meet that person. But
of course. I mean,
whatever.
Totally. I did it one time where like, I was like, I wonder if I message this person, if they'll respond because I have the blue check mark on Instagram now, you know?
Was it because of the blue check mark?
No, but I thought like, oh my God, I would never have a shot with this girl before. And this was obviously before Ashley.
Of course.
Obviously.
Got to put that out there.
Obviously, putting that caveat, come on now. But it's interesting, man. Dating has changed. Is there anything that can get, like, all right, you guys are both single. Is there anything a girl can do, like, whether it be on their dating profile app or their Instagram that kind of gets your attention?
No, I don't know. Here's what I don't get. I'm going to pivot.
Perfect. Love it.
Texting. I don't understand.
It's the dumbest.
No, what I mean by that is just like sometimes I will read these responses and I'll just be like, I don't know what the fuck that means. I don't.
Texting is really hard because there's no tone behind it. You can't tell what somebody's trying to say.
So I'm going
to... It's the most cryptic thing out there. It is more cryptic than cryptocurrency.
Half the time it's like, are you fucking with me? Or are you just like,
well, that's what I mean.
Are you asleep when
like somebody can say something in person with a certain tone, whether it be sarcasm or seriousness or lightheartedness, whatever. And you text that same thing, that thought in your head, and it comes across so much different depending on whoever's reading it and whatever mood they're in. And then also texting, like, I think we overthink it a little bit, which is where you were going with this, Nick, which is how many times, and I'm sure a lot of people listening can relate to this, have you written a message and then erased it, and then written another one, and then erased it, and then written another one, and then erased it, or written one, and then read it over 15,000 times before you finally sent it, and then when you sent it, you felt like an idiot because they don't respond in the first 3 minutes, and you think that they read it and hate you forever. It's just this constant anxiety and stress that is caused from this little phone that is presented to us, that has connected us with everybody across the globe, and yet gives us so much stress from like 4 sentences that you're about to text a girl that you actually like and want to go on a date with, but you also don't want to come off creepy, so you start writing this message. You want to be funny, but you don't want to be creepy funny, and it's just this horrible game that we all play.
So, Jared, let me throw this back at you then. So I think that history repeats itself, right? And I think now it's texting, but before it was something else. And I think
like letters?
I don't even know, but I'll give you an example. I think
I wrote her 15 letters and I have not gotten a response.
Handwritten, put it in her locker and everything.
I wrote you who?
No, but there's an overarching thing that like the whole game of like playing games, like to a certain extent, is like you kind of keep each other on your toes. Like I see it in my parents' relationship. They're married 34 years. And still when I visit, I can see like the little games they play, the flirting games, the tough guy who's, just in a fun, loving way. And Jared, you tell me if you're wrong, but you and Ashley probably still have like funny things where you're playing or flirting or trying to take, trying to be like, no, this is right. That happens. And I think now in our world, when you're starting to date, that happens via text.
But the difference,
it's the worst.
But that's the difference, is the games that we play within relationships are great because we know that we love each other and we can mess around and make each other laugh. The games that we play prior to any relationship or even any friendship, it gives so much anxiety because it's like, okay, am I coming on too strong? Should I be more aggressive? Should I say something? Should I text this? Should I text this GIF or should I text that GIF? And I
love a good GIF.
GIFs are great.
But how many times, every listener out there, and then you guys as well, have you ever given a friend advice to say, wait, don't text back?
All the time.
Hold. You got to wait 10, 15, 20 minutes. Wait a day.
I used to.
I really don't.
I used to, but not anymore.
I'm a firm believer in they either like you or you don't, or they don't. But that's not always true. I think that might be true, but I definitely think there's no way to tell.
I think it's different for Nick and I because... Yeah, I used to do that. I used to tell my friends, like, no, you can't text her right back. That's way too much. But now, in my late 20s and progressing quickly into my early 30s, I'm like, what are you doing? Text them back. I mean, it's fine. Let them know you like them.
If there's a girl who's not going to go out with me because I text back too quickly, then I can't, honestly. Can't deal. Like, I already have...
No, but I'm just saying, I think everyone's guilty of at least once or twice telling their friend, like, oh, wait a minute, or like, don't, come on.
All right, guys, I want to take a second to talk about my favorite thing that's been introduced into my life, and it's called Liquid IV. So basically, my issue is that in life, I don't drink enough water. I know that that's really bad. I just hate having to pee all the time. I have fibroids, and I don't know, I just don't. It's like annoying, and I don't like to pee. And I hate peeing all the time, and I never even finish like one water bottle. I have so many water bottles in my house with like a little bit of water in it.
I always finish your water bottles when you leave. I just like dump it in my mouth. Just
the ones I leave here at your house. It's bad, guys. But thanks to Liquid IV, I'm getting hydrated. So Liquid IV is basically this powder that you put into a water bottle, and it hydrates you 3 times the amount one water bottle would hydrate you. And their flavors are amazing. I literally feel like I'm Michael Jordan from Space Jam, like drinking like the special stuff.
Lemon lime is my favorite.
Oh, it's so good.
And not like other sports drinks because they're non-GMO, they're clean ingredients, it's a healthy alternative, they're vegan, free of gluten, dairy, and soy.
But it also delivers hydration to the bloodstream faster and more efficiently than water alone. And it contains 5 essential vitamins that you're not going to get from your other average sports drinks.
NAS speaks about these essential vitamins. Well, those vitamins include vitamin C, more than an orange, and just as much potassium as you're going to get from a banana. Another great thing about Liquid IV is that they donate 1 serving to people in need for every order placed. And for you fitness freaks out there, Liquid IV is going to fuel you through workouts. It's going to prevent muscle fatigue, and it's going to promote healthy post-workout recovery with clean ingredients and their portable power packs, so you can just dump it into your water bottle while you're at the gym. We love Liquid IV, and we know that you will too. So for 20% off, go to liquidiv.com. That is liquid-iv.com and use our code. Get it at checkout. That's 20% off anything you order at Liquid IV's website. Go to liquid-iv.com and enter our promo code, which is GET IT, to get your savings and start getting better hydration. Don't wait. Get hydrated now.
So, Jason, are you the type of guy that, like, say you go on a date with a girl and it goes really well, are you the type of guy that would text that night to be like, hey, I had a really good time? Or are you the type of guy to be like, you know what, I don't want to be too much, I'm going to wait, and either text like 2 days later or something along those lines?
No, if I'm on a date with someone and it goes well and that person has given me enough that I think there's chemistry and vice versa, then I think I don't want to waste any time. And I'll text her immediately that night. Am I going to pepper her with 10 texts in a row? Absolutely not. With something kind to say I had a great time, I hope to see it again, let's plan something, 100%.
Totally. This is a really vague question, but as three guys, maybe we should try to break it down. Why is dating so hard in 2018? And even technology, I get it. It adds this layer that hasn't been there before, and we're all learning from it and all trying to navigate our way through this social media and dating app world. But why is it so difficult for people to meet with each other and develop a relationship in this day and age?
I think it's access. I think it's the internet. I think it's people are lazy. I think it's this dumb luck. Well, here's like access. Well, Jason, last time I did Ashley's podcast, I told a story, and there's more to the story. I'll update you.
Okay.
But it's like a lot of variables of why dating's so goddamn hard.
All right, let's hear it.
So quick for those who didn't, I connected with a young lady on the internet.
I'm already liking the story.
Very attractive, a real winner in the looks department. I was aware of her existence before. We had a quick communication. She wasn't living here at the time. She was living in New York. There was some dialogue back and forth, a little bit of text, right? And then it was like, hey, if you're ever in town, let's get together. Yeah, like blah, blah, blah. And then I was probably more the pursuer of her than me, I suppose. I mean, it wasn't like, it was early. It was the internet, so it was like a little bit of back and forth. But even then, when I was like, let's get together, her texting back and forth didn't always like make, it was like, yeah, sure. It was like one word answers and then she was in town and we didn't get together. I was like, thinking, okay, well, it's not really going to happen. No big deal. Like,
yeah.
So we stopped talking. About 5 weeks go by. I am cruising the internet. And I come across.
That's amazing.
And I come
cruiser, everybody.
And I come across this young lady's curated internet page on the gram. And I found her quite fetching, only to realize that this was the other girl's best friend.
You bring up such a good point here. I can't wait for this. Can't wait.
So these girls are, both have no problem in terms of like having guys find them attractive. They have two very different looks. Both, whatever. 1A, 1B, they're both hot. I found the other one lived here. I thought she was very attractive. And so I messaged that friend, the second girl, was up front and was like, hey, listen, I came across your Instagram. Just so you know, I was talking to your friend briefly. We never got together. I don't know if you knew that, but like, listen, I'd regret not asking if you want to get together. Cause like, whatever, like, hey, I don't get, and long story short, we went back and forth a few times. She responded. She was like, that I definitely knew about it and I would love to, but I don't want to disrespect my friend. And I asked a few more creative ways. We finally ended up meeting at a party that I kind of told her I was going to, and she showed up to, but like, it's not like we went on a date or anything like that. And then afterwards, she was like, yeah, I'm like, it was great to meet you, but like, still don't want to like disrespect my friend. And I eventually just let it go. Right. And so I was like, okay, like she, I don't know, clearly is like besties with this friend, or maybe she's just not that into me. I don't know. And that like a month goes by. 2 weeks ago, I went to an event and ran into both of them at this party.
At the same
time. And so I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, oh, this is going to be awkward. Because I just assumed, they had communicated. Their best friend. Of course,
why would they not talk about this?
So we're like, and apparently we have some, LA is a small town, that we have some mutual friends. So at this event, we're kind of in the same vicinity. And the second girl who I had pursued after the fact, like she was like, I caught her kept looking at me, but almost like in an awkward, like, I don't know if she was checking me out or just being like, oh, fuck, this guy's here. And so like she finally made eye contact with me and I waved and I was like, okay. And then the first girl, like I'm thinking like, this is going to be kind of embarrassing because like I went and hit on your friend. She looks at me and she's like, hey. And I'm like, hey, kind of like wave awkwardly.
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, well, I'm thinking to myself, well, what a good sport, like,
yeah,
oh, whatever. Yeah, we barely talked. And like another minute goes by. She like looks at me again, waves. And she's like, hey. And I'm like, okay. She walks over. I'm like, oh shit. And she's like, hey, well, it's nice to finally meet you in person. Gives me a big hug and like super friendly. And I'm like, what is going on? Like why is she being so cool?
Yeah. How long are we going to play this game where you act as if nothing happened?
But then she like introduced me to her like best friend. I'm like, oh shit, she has no idea that I pivoted and hit on her friend. So the second girl never told the first girl. So we're at this event. She's leaving, and she's just like, well, you still have my number, right? And I'm like, yeah. Like, kind of awkwardly, like, I don't really know what to do here. I don't want to be a dick. She's like, well, let's get together sometime. And I'm like, yeah, sure, man. You know, like, and again, I had never met this girl in person. She's very attractive. Like, I would love to go out. Like, I don't know either of them. Like, it's dating. Like, that's the thing. It's just like, I'm just shooting to get hot here. You know, like, I'm just taking my hacks, trying to connect with someone. Yeah, you know, like,
just trying to bat 250 over
right?
here.
Like,
Come on.
That's the thing is that that's the reality is I don't know either of them. They're both very attractive. I've heard from around the street that they're interesting and smart, and who knows? I have no idea if I'm going to connect with either of them. You know, so like I didn't intentionally like try to like go out with two friends. It just kind of fucking happened. So, anyways, like I don't know what to do. A couple hours go by. I pull some women. In terms of like, I'm at this other party. I'm like, so what do you think? What do you think I should do here?
Yeah.
It's like, well, like you didn't do anything wrong. Just like message her. And I'm like, so I messaged the original girl, and I was just like, hey, listen, like it was really great meeting you. I'm glad I got to finally get to meet you. Let's get together sometime. She's like, sure, yeah. And I'm just like, well, do I tell her before or do I wait to meet up with her? And ironically, most of the women who I asked, they were just like, well, you didn't do anything wrong. Just wait to meet up with her. And then tell her. And the funny thing is, somehow when the original girl, when I met her finally at the party, it weirdly came up about like guys, and and again, I had talked to her for about 3 minutes, and in 3 minutes, she found a way to vent to me about like dating and how there's no honest and loyal guys out there, right? And so I actually like really like someone who values loyalty. It's something I really value. And so I'm just like, you know what? I don't care. I'm not going to wait. I'm just going to come clean. And so I wrote this message a day later, and I was just like, listen, it was great to meet you, and I would like to get together, but I need to be upfront. And I was just like, hey, here's the situation. Like, and I was very careful when I messaged her because I didn't want it to look like I was throwing, because it didn't seem like under the bus. So I was just like, listen, your friend, you have a great friend. Clearly, she made it clear that she didn't want to didn't want to sacrifice your relationship. And then so here's where my confusion lies in. So like I just assumed she probably wouldn't write back. So a day later, she writes back. She's just like, "Hey, sorry for the late reply." I'm like, "Okay." Like I'm like, I don't even think you're gonna write me back. Mm-hmm. And she's like, "It is kind of weird that you hit on two best friends." I'm like, "Eh," but you seem cool. And I'm thinking, I don't know.
What does that mean?
Are you trying to like, is it like, hey, listen, that's fucked up, but like, I don't want to be a bitch, so I'm just going to say, you seem cool. Or, listen, I don't fucking care. Dating's hard. I'm going to give you some shit, but like, whatever, you seem cool.
Yeah,
let's grab a drink. Thanks for being honest. You know, like, thanks for...
That's the way I took it as well. When you were telling me about it, I was like, it sounds like she's like, hey, it was kind of weird, but you seem pretty cool.
So like, let's meet up. I wrote back something like, hey, I didn't think I was going to like, I really didn't think I'd hear from you. Like, whatever, no need to be sorry. And honestly, like, I get it. Like, listen, I don't know what to say. I feel stupid, but do you want to get a drink tonight? And then she writes back, this is a long version of like, I don't get texting. She just goes, I'm going to yoga right now. Okay, like we're not dating. I don't need an update on your schedule. Like, are we hanging out afterwards, before, or does that mean you want to hang out at all? Are you just fucking with me?
So, Jason, what was your thought on that?
I was going to say, so I completely understand that scenario, and I think I've seen a lot of, and I'm empathetic to those who have had exes or dating friends or people that have intro doors. There are so many stories about that. The list goes on. But I think the difference, and I'm curious if you would ever do it, Nick, or Jared, when you were dating, if you did it, that's a situation where I'm super old school. If I find that there's conflict in a scenario that like I need the answer to, I'm weird in the fact that like right there, right then, I'll pick up the phone. And I'll just be like, hey, listen, I'm really not, like, here was the situation. I want to lay it out. I want to understand where you're at. Are we cool? Are we not cool? Are we moving forward, putting it behind us? Maybe, like, that's more of the East Coast to me, but I just want to know right there, right then.
Do you think it would come off too pushy if you called her after, like, only texting with this human being? I guess you did meet her.
to me, it's how you approach it. I think it's the first two sentences that would say, the only reason I'm calling is because of this, and this, and I'm sorry if it seems too forward, but I don't know, because it's just not worth the wondering.
Yeah, well, that's why I opted to just text her before I waited to meet her and just be like, listen, I just thought it would be kind of rude of me to like get her to go out with me, and if she were pissed off to like drop that bomb, I wanted to give her the out. I mean, calling like, I don't know. It's weird because like this girl, she's certainly younger than me. She's over 25. I'll just say that. And at that point, you're an
she's
adult.
Over 19. I'm kidding. She's over 25.
She's over 25. Why do we?
Come on, it was funny. It's a joke. Everybody laugh.
But like, yeah, they're definitely like when I guess what is she, a millennial? I don't know. Like there is this fear, like I would have no problem calling, but it's just like I definitely.
I think she would have a problem with you calling.
If I'm dating a younger woman, and by younger I mean like anyone in their like mid to late 20s, I'm like, I'm worried. Is she going to think this is weird?
Do any of you go out and you have a very stressful moment or like a very embarrassing moment, or you just saw that like the guy you love is seeing another girl or something traumatic happens and you wish you could run to your therapist's office? Well, we have Talkspace. That's an online therapy company that lets you message a licensed therapist from anywhere at any time. You're literally texting your therapist. All you need is a computer with internet connection or the Talkspace mobile app. This means you can improve your mental health even if you have trouble making time for it in the past. You don't have to schedule appointments like months in advance to get in with like a really good therapist. You can have really good therapists right here with Talkspace.
And what I love, and I'm so excited about this sponsor, is that you guys respond so well to our Dr. Mike podcast. And so many of you have reached out to us saying, I can't afford therapy. So it's really exciting for us to offer this to you guys. So I definitely want you guys to check it out. And remember that therapy isn't just about like venting your innermost thoughts or digging into your childhood memories. It's also about practical everyday strategies for like stress management, living a happier life. Having a therapist simply provides you like a designated person for you to talk to who's trained to listen and help you make positive changes.
Just like Naz's Heartbroken Anonymous, the people in your life get tired of hearing about the same guy you talk about all the time. But if you need someone to talk to, third party, no judgment, Talkspace is here for you.
Professional, licensed.
The Talkspace platform has over 2,000 licensed therapists who are experienced in addressing all life challenges that we all face at one time or two. To match with the perfect therapist for you for a fraction of the price of traditional therapy, go to Talkspace.com/getit. That is TALKSPACE.com/getit. And use the code GETIT to get $45 off your first month and show your support for the show. That's again the code GETIT at Talkspace.com/getit.
Nick, I have a question for you. Do you have, I've been asked this question a ton in the last like 2-3 weeks. Do you have an age limit that regardless of the individual you're talking to, because we're getting older, like I'm going to be 30 in a couple of weeks. Do you have a limit where you're like, under no circumstances will I date someone younger than this?
No circumstances? Age? I mean, I don't want to put limits like absolutes, but generally speaking, I will say my floor in terms of how young they are is like 25.
That seems about right.
That's my floor. Like again, like number. I mean, age is a number. There are people who are far more mature than their age, and there are people who are super immature and older. So it's not an absolute, but generally speaking, I find that like if it's younger than 25, I have some serious reservations about even giving it a shot.
It's fair.
This is like an off.
What about you, Jason?
Oh yeah.
So I think you made a good point that like is another theme is that dating right now is not a blueprint. It's just a mosaic. Like you can't actually pin anything down. But what the hell are you two laughing at over there?
We're not laughing.
We can't see you.
Oh, I thought Nick was laughing.
Are we just frozen in laughter? I mean, it's a
Nick
good
was
pit.
Frozen. I was like, wait, what did I say? No, but long story short, dating today isn't a blueprint, it's a mosaic. And I also think there are probably 21-year-olds that carry themselves in a more mature manner than some 35-year-olds. I actually think if you look back on the show, I think that little Becca was a young girl on Ari's season, but I thought she was much more eloquent, mature, and well-spoken, and carried herself in a much more mature manner than others. So it's tough to put an age restriction. For me, I'm looking for someone that's like finished college and has like moved on into their 20s to understand what they want to do, what they want to get out of life.
All right, so every college graduate that is currently listening to this podcast, just slide into Jason's DMs.
Oh, Jesus.
Have you guys ever ghosted anybody?
It's weird though, but like to that point, like
my God, I got such a good story with ghosting.
Well, let me have one more thought on age, but like as I get older, right? Like I was just like, hey Nick, you're getting older. You can't just like the whole Matthew McConaughey. Like I get older, I get self-conscious about my age, and I'm just like, oh shit,
Matthew McConaughey thing. What's that?
You get older, they stay the same age.
Has he said that in the past?
Have you not seen Dazed and Confused?
Oh, okay, never mind. I'm losing it. Yeah.
But it's weird because like I don't, I know I get older, but what I'm saying is as I remain single, it's not like, it's like you get older and all of a sudden like you're older, but it's just like, well, I'm a certain age, so I can no longer date. Like 6 months ago, I could date the 25-year-old. Now I have to date the 26-year-old.
You're right, conforming to like the social norms of like, okay, well, if I'm this age, I can't date below this age.
But I at the same time, I do challenge myself not challenge myself, but I want to date someone who's more at my level, right? Yeah, but then at the same time, like I've dated like girls who are 28, 29, and I'm just like, or 30 or 31 or whatever. I'm just like, and there's a whole new bag of shit going on that I'm just like, I don't know what to fucking do here. Like, I don't.
Why does my back hurt?
Yeah, I mean, I'll let me put this on the record too. My floor is what I said it was, but as far as like an age max, I would date someone older than me in a heartbeat. I don't think I would put a label on it. But you go back to ghosting. I think ghosting is a good conversation to talk about.
All right, let's hear about your. I want to hear your story.
Oh, I got a hilarious story. Everyone has a story or perception of what ghosting is.
Well, I'll tell you why I brought up ghosting, but I want to hear your perspective and your story first.
So here's why you brought it up, and I think it might correlate to why I'm bringing it up. So I get off the show, and right off the show, a show hasn't aired, so the only people either following you are friends and family or people that are like really into the reality breakers. And my messages are just flooded with, I can't believe you ghosted a girl. What the hell's wrong with you? What kind of person are you? And I'm just like, what
do you do?
This is getting juicy.
What the hell is going on? So I start doing some research and I figure out that there was a girl that I was talking to in Rochester, who is such a sweetheart, by the way. But we were talking.
Such a sweetheart.
It was probably a 2-month thing. We broke up. We stopped talking, and then I moved to across the country, and I was across the country for 5-6 months before the show started, and there was nothing there since then. Well, then I went on the show, and one of her friends, this is actually crazy, one of her friends went on Twitter saying, talking all this smack about me, one of her friends that I had never met. So someone reached out to them, and there's an article saying that I ghosted this girl, which was so ridiculous because from the time the show started to when this was being made, now it was like 8 months or so. So it gets even better to the fact that I get off the show. There's been such a delay between the last time we talked, when the show started, and when the show ended, that I get off this show, and this girl that at this point now I hadn't spoken to romantically in 9 months, who I'm getting accused of now ghosting, is now dating my really good friend who actually was on the show. He was one of my buddies that surprised me in Richmond that Becca flew out. And they're still happily dating. But you touch on a couple topics here. There's this whole definition of ghosting. Is there this timeline with ghosting? And then also, what is your comfort level in having a good friend of yours date someone that you had been involved with in the past? And that's a headache, but that's 2018, and I'm okay with.
Did you hook up
with it when we were dating?
Yeah, they dated for a little
while.
You
dated.
Yeah.
Oh, and she accused you of ghosting by what? How?
So she did.
Her friend
she was approached by people to see if she wanted to bring this to fruition, to bring us to light.
Oh, okay.
And she denied it because it was false. it was fake.
But her friend, the thirsty animal, wanted to get some attention.
A friend of hers who I had never met went publicly saying I ghosted her.
Dude, it is pretty crazy, though, how, like, they just... a magazine reached out to my ex-girlfriend when I was on The Bachelorette, and they wanted her to write an article about what it's like to be an ex-girlfriend of somebody who is on The Bachelorette. And that's not really that bad, but it is interesting how, like, this magazine even found out who she was. This was before my name was released.
I went when I graduated, a year after I graduated high school, I made out with a girl at a bar once who apparently ended up working for Life and Style.
Yeah.
And she, when I was a bachelor, wrote this whole expose on what it was like to date me.
That was her? I saw that.
It was very flattering.
Crazy.
100% totally made up. I mean, we made out one night at a bar, and she like talked about like this summer fling that we had.
Summer fling that you guys were madly in love.
So I would say I had in my life 3 serious girlfriends. One, I broke her heart. One, I had my heart broken. And one, it was kind of indifferent. We just separated.
Do you count Becca as a serious fling?
So she's not in that 3.
All right, that's what I figured.
But here's the purpose of this real quick is all of them. I called all of them before I went on the show.
Really?
And I was like, listen, even the one that we dated for 4 years and it was an ugly breakup, I just told them, like, I will not make our business public. I have no idea what's going to happen, but I want you to know I still respect you and your family. And you'll notice on the show, not once, ever did I talk about my exes.
Yeah, I think a lot of people make that. I did the same. I didn't call like you did. I mean, my most recent ex at the time, we had been broken up for a year. She knew.
I called
we had
one
a conversation.
I called,
but yeah,
one
I kind of made that kind of decision that I wasn't going to talk in any detail about relationships. You know, I'd mentioned I'd have them, that I had them.
No names,
but it didn't work
no
out.
specifics.
But I wouldn't certainly say names. They're really getting into details. Because I mean, I was fortunate that while there were highs and lows in relationships, there was no like shit talking that needed to be done or anything like that.
What do you mean shit talking?
Well, like, I didn't have
towards
like
an ex?
Yeah, tragic story about like,
not.
well, I'm the victim here. I was like, whatever. We were young and dated, and we didn't work out. Like, that's life.
Totally.
I wasn't going to throw any of my exes under the bus. Like as Jason mentioned, that he, you know, unfortunately, like, a lot of our peers don't make that same. Same decision. They're like, oh, what do you want me to say? Like, I don't know. I did this guy fucking sucks.
It was all her fault. I was heartbroken. She's terrible.
Oh, Garrett? Sorry.
No.
Garrett opted to make a different decision. I mean, I've never met Garrett. I'm sure he's lovely.
He is quite lovely. I met him once. Great guy. That was the funniest thing, though.
It was like, hey, guys, you need me talking about my ex? What do you want me to say?
I'll say
fucking
anything.
Shit all over her. I don't know. I do not care.
Oh, that's amazing.
BioClarity, guys. You've heard it before. But you guys keep buying it because you love it that much. Like, that's why they keep having ads on the I Don't Get It podcast, because you guys are buying and loving. If you haven't used BioClarity yet, it is one of my favorite ways to maintain and get great glowing skin.
And Ashley, I have to say, your skin looks unreal. Like, you're barely wearing makeup anymore because of BioClarity.
Oh, well, thank you. It's also 100% vegan and cruelty-free, because I love my animals. It also has this cool thing called Floralux, which is derived from chlorophyll, which is the green stuff in plants, and it really helps with redness, and it really calms your skin. That was always my biggest complaint, is that my skin's always so red, but BioClarity has really helped it out, and it also helps out hyperpigmentation, which is another issue that I feel like I've always kind of suffered with. They have this new stuff called a skin smoothie. It's a moisturizer, and it's going to make your skin feel so soft and glowy. And beyond the moisturizer, they have 2 different skincare routines depending on your kind of skin. There's the clear skin routine for combination and oily, breakout-prone skin, or the essentials routine if you have skin more like Naz, which is dry or normal but not breakout-prone. It's got chamomile, green tea, cucumber, all those anti-inflammatory ingredients,
which we all know is also so helpful if you're like hungover and you feel like your face is poofy from the night before, or you had ramen that had a lot of sodium in it.
That you're going to need a lot of water for.
We've all been there, but also the BioClarity products.
Right. And BioClarity is delivered straight to your door, and it's 3 steps. It's an easy routine to get into. And you can get started today by going to BioClarity.com. You can get your first month for 50% off any routine of your choosing. Plus, shipping is free, and it comes with a 100% risk-free money-back guarantee. But you need to enter our code, just get it, GETIT. And that's BioClarity.com, and enter our code, get it. And if you don't like it, just return it. No risk, guys.
But I do think, kind of going back, I think the most difficult thing in dating today is just that whole process of like leading up to the first date. Honestly, well, the whole navigating the waters of leading up to the first date is just awful in 2018.
Well, yeah, because there's so many outs. There's so many like people. That's why I say people get lazy. It's just like, do I? And again, I live in LA, right? So whether it's a DM or different ways you meet people, LA is a tough town, and there's a lot of superficial. I mean,
there's a lot of shiny things.
There's
in
a lot
Los
of
Angeles.
shit out there that, quite honestly, I'm not saying I'm the most amazing guy, but I do value my Midwest upbringing, and I like to think that I still go about dating in that sense. Not a saint by any means, but at the same time, like, I get it that because dating is so discouraging, both for men and women, that it's like, but it's, they've had, listen, same with you, Jason. Like, just by definition, it's most likely not going to work out,
and it's exhausting.
It may not have a bad time, but it just may not work out. And sometimes, even from a guy's point of view, if you're, I'm assuming the same way. Like, on a first date, I'm always going to pay for drinks. Like, I'm just always, or if it's so like it's like. If I'm lukewarm with a girl, I'm like, it's LA. It's like, do I want to drop $100 tonight and and have an average conversation with a girl I deep down know? It's like little things like that.
Totally.
Or a girl's like, well, do I really want to like drive across town and like listen to this guy's bullshit? Who knows? Like and I think that's the problem with kind of Jason's point is this the getting to that first date, because there's just so many outs that people like will think of to get out of, and you really and we talked about this in the last podcast. I'm a persistent guy in a sense that when the very few times I am intrigued, I will go for it. Mm-hmm. But I think this day and age, you don't hear the stories as much. Like when you watch the rom-coms or the old-fashioned stories, you always hear these stories about how like the woman will tell a story like he asked me to marry me 20 times and I finally said yes, and like that's somehow romantic. Where nowadays,
that's Nick.
You're like no, but you're insane. You're like it's like people will be like, well, if you like text her once and like she didn't respond, don't reach out again. That'd be weird.
I know.
And so like there's this balance of like trying to stand out by being persistent or just moving on. And I honestly sometimes don't know the answer. If I don't know.
Totally. Nick, I'm going to agree with you. This is like being a self-aware and kind of like self-deprecating, but I think one of my issues, well before the show or anything, is that I have a sense of pride and maybe like I'm just going to say this, maybe like a sense of entitlement almost, which is bad, but that when someone like denies me or declines me or says something that like doesn't make sense, like if I'm trying to get a girl to have drinks or do something like that and she's ignoring me, or I just can't get a response at all, I'm the kind of guy that's like, okay, whatever. And I'm sure girls feel the same way. I'm like, whatever. Like, I don't need to be chasing you. Like, I'm not the kind of guy that chases. And the first time you give me the Heisman, then like, I'm done. And there is that. What's sad about that is there's probably someone I've come across that has given me the Heisman several times, and that I just quit. And I'm like, I'm not gonna chase. And if I would have chased, it could have worked out. And
God, I love you say Heisman.
Yeah, and I just think it's like sad in our world today. We don't fight like maybe they used to traditionally. Maybe it's something I need to start doing better. I remember my mom tried to break up with my dad once. Just said like didn't know what to do, and she's like, I'm not feeling it. I want to break up. My dad literally was like, no, you can't. You just can't. Like we can't. And like fought through hell. Got her back 35 years later. They're still married. So I don't know.
That's the thing. Also, it is confusing for us too. But that story I told about those two friends, right? Like the first time, the first girl I was talking to her, and honestly, it didn't seem like via text or whatever. I didn't get the impression she was all that interested. Maybe she wasn't. I mean, we hadn't met, but then we meet in person, and she was incredibly flirtatious. So it's just like you just don't know. And honestly, for me, if I'm really intrigued by someone, and again, this is with the assumption that like either I met them briefly or, you know, in this day and age when you're meeting over a dating app or the internet or whatever, I just want a shot to meet them if I'm intrigued by someone, because I don't want to be, you know, like I don't want them to assume I'm just like any other guy. I don't want them to assume they know anything about me, especially with any type of public persona, you know, good or bad. You know, like I don't know how you feel, Jason, but like, you know, you have a lot of popularity right now, but there are a lot of women that, especially that I'm intrigued, just the fact that I'm on the show, they might hold that against me. They might put me in a bubble that says like any guy who's going to go on this show might not be interesting, smart, or whatever. They may like, they might have just watched a season on say JoJo's season and been like, well, every guy's going to be like Robbie Hayes and you know, like Chase. I mean, whatever. Like, they might put it in a bubble, so like I have a self-consciousness about that where I just want to like meet them, and so like and so whether I am persistent or not definitely comes down to like what my level of interest, but like I also get confused on what is romantic versus creepy, or what is.
It's a fine line.
There's a fine line. It's a matter of perception. I had women tell me that they really liked that. The reason they agreed to go out with me is because I was persistent, especially out in this day and age where guys seem so aloof and lukewarm, and they totally. You know, it's so damn confusing about that.
It's such a case by case basis, and that's the really difficult part, is because you don't know who's going to take one thing as creepy and the next person take as romantic, and that's the fine line that causes some problems. And like Jason, we were talking about like the Heisman thing, like first sign of trouble, especially early on before you even meet. It's like, okay, I'm just, you know, if she's giving me the Heisman anyway, I'm going to move on. I think it's really difficult for a lot of people out there because, Jason, you're very lucky that you're a good-looking guy and you have these opportunities. You're a stud. No one's denying it. Listen,
stop that.
Every woman that's listening to this podcast right now is just loving your voice.
You stop.
And I'm currently watching Jason's Instagram and his movement ad. Swipe up if you haven't seen it. Go
Absolutely. The kid, he's put his sunglasses on. He's sitting on his couch. He's got his like checkered button down on.
What's the
code sexy
code
Jason.
Tartick 15.
Ooh.
For any of those who the story will be gone by then.
Using the last name for the code. That's an interesting
so
move.
If you listen to this, go to movement.com.
Interesting approach.
And so, but it's hard though, because there's a lot of people in this dating world, like they finally meet somebody that they're kind of interested in. And even though there's signs of trouble, they're like, this is like the first person out of 15 that I actually want to go on a date with. So should I not try to be persistent? So it's this really hard place to navigate. And I think when you said about your parents' first sign of trouble, I love how there was a sign of trouble and they were like, no, we're working through this. We are married.
His dad was.
His dad was. But I'm assuming your mom was on the same page because they're still very much together and very much in love. And so, but it's different nowadays because for me, I'm sorry, I feel like we do have this heightened sense of what it means to be soulmates. And I feel like a lot of people these days, on the first sign of trouble, they say, oh, wait, well, maybe this person is my soulmate, because if this person is somebody I should spend the rest of my life with, shouldn't it be easy all the time? And it's like, no, that's not the way life works. That's not the way relationships work. The person that you're supposed to spend the rest of your life with, somebody that you love, you're going to have a lot of issues with at times, and you need to work past that. Now, obviously, there's a line. If you're fighting 90% of the time, maybe it's not the person you're supposed to be with. But having said that, like, you can't be with somebody for months and then have a first fight and then be like, oh, never mind, I'm rethinking everything. And it's a hard place to navigate. And with first dates, I mean, the thing is, like, you guys talk about, like, there's so many other things you could do. Absolutely. But also, I'm sorry, I go back to the phone. Like, it's just really easy to procrastinate and text somebody and really keep going back and forth before somebody finally says, hey, we should meet up. Because, like, I think that's, Jason, I don't know, I kind of want to get your opinion on this. Like, when's the first time you should really, like...
Just go for it, man.
Go for it. When's the first time you should go for it?
So I think even there's a lot of things to take away. And the biggest two are, you said there's a lot of female listeners, is that, you know, it doesn't matter how confident a guy may seem. There are so many insecurities that we battle with the whole dating process. Totally. And I also think it just comes down to, like, communication. It's like we talk about all these things that we have issues with and that have created barriers and speed bumps to our path of dating. But at the end of it, it really comes down to just, like, effective communication. And it's something that our generation, we just struggle with. It's not easy. And it has to do with pride, entitlement, appealing appearance, confidence. The list goes on, but it's not easy.
Nick, what are your thoughts about guys and their insecurities? Because I do think that there is this perception.
What about them?
Well, my question is, I do think there's this perception of guys out there who are good looking and have everything together, and girls look at them and they're like, oh, he's so cocky. He knows everything he wants in life. He's good looking. He's got charisma. When in actuality, there might be a lot of depth behind that person, and more specifically, maybe some doubts and insecurities. And so, I don't know. I've always felt that way, that like, because I've talked about it with myself, where like I sometimes would try to put this persona on of like, I know what I want. Like I know who I am, when in actuality, I'm just like this very confused human being who's just trying to navigate his way through life with a lot of insecurities. Well, and so,
I mean, I just think in general rule of thumb is that you can just safely assume that everyone has a bunch of insecurities, and it really doesn't matter what they look like or what their age is. If you're young, you're insecure about being too young. If as you get older, you're insecure about being older. You know, if everyone has insecurities about how they look, it doesn't matter what you look like. You know, yeah, I think it's safe to assume. I think sometimes it seems like, I think more importantly to your point, maybe what you're getting at is, and maybe just me, I am an introspective guy. Maybe I'm different than Jason or you, but you know, everyone, I'm an overthinker. And so if I really like someone, just like it sounds like a lot of my women friends do, I will overanalyze and think about, what does this mean? What should I say? Do I write this? Do I write that? Do I ask this? Do I ask that? Did I respond? And so I know I do that. I don't know if Jason does that, but I think a lot, to your point, I think a lot of guys, if they like a girl, have the same questions and have the same worries and concerns and insecurities about what they should do with anyone. I mean, like, that's the thing about. I have
a question for you.
Well, but if you really like someone enough, you're going to generally, you know, not be overconfident.
So you're onto something that we haven't really addressed. You said, so when I really like someone, or if you like someone enough. And I don't want to hear like the cheesy, boring, I want a strong person. I mean, like, what is it really, like, at the core that gets you from, okay, this is like a cool thing, this could work out, to like, I really like this person, I want to pursue date 1, 2, 3, 4. I could see a future here.
She has to look like a Kardashian.
Oh, God.
No.
I'm kidding.
Listen, I mean, there's always a physical aspect, you know? I mean, I certainly, you know, I have a type, I've learned. But it's not.
Do you have a type?
Well, I don't.
What do you think your type is?
Like, I tend to be attracted to brunettes.
Okay, physically, yes. I was talking more
physically,
like
but
emotionally,
not always,
and mentally.
right? Like, again, these two friends, they look very differently.
But like emotionally, like, all right, let me ask.
I think my concern with me is I like I like interesting women. Sometimes my problem is I think these interesting women are, as Ashley would describe to me, wild horses. So like I just like women who really get me to think and are, you know, challenge me and really kind of. Hold on, I can't figure them out because I usually figure out people pretty quickly. That's probably my problem.
Well, I'm not going to say this is your problem, but it is an interesting little tidbit about you, is that you are very attracted to women that like can challenge you in a lot of different ways and who don't back down from you. But the interesting thing about you is that those women are the very same people that you don't back down from either, and
I don't back down.
But exactly,
well, that's not true. That's not entirely true. From
my perspective, I don't know the inner workings of every relationship.
When I'm in a relationship, I tend to be more submissive. You know, not, you know, like I don't like not.
Tell us
not in the bedroom. No, but like I like.
We're going there. Eh?
I like earning, like I like doing things for the person I love.
Oh, you are like, very much a provider.
I like doing that. I don't feel the need to. So
that's not my question. That's not what I was saying.
I give in in that sense. Like I don't mind. I'm not like stubborn in that.
No, you are. If there's one thing about Nick Viall, you are very much a provider, which is why you will make a great father one day. But what I'm saying specifically about girls that are willing to challenge you is that they, like, if you say something, they will say something back. But you are the type of person who, like, won't be like, oh, maybe you're right. You'll be like, no. Yeah, I'm going to reiterate my point. And it's interesting because those are the girls that you're attracted to, but those are also, I feel like, the girls that you butt heads with most.
That's the journey I'm on, Jared. You know, that's the...
Jason, you had a question earlier. I'm sorry. What's up, bud?
Oh, no. So my question was just Nick answered it. It's like, what really is it that gets you to like really like someone? And for me, actually, Nick, it's funny. I think we share a lot of commonality there. Like, I want someone with like sass and energy, and someone that has like a really good sense of humor and is like really passionate about it. Could be anything in the world, but just has a passion that like drives them every day. And one of the most attractive things to me is like a partner who's really emotionally intelligent, like someone that is resilient, adaptable. You can bring them in other circumstances, and for the most part, they get along with people. My friends and family are like everything to me. So someone that can get along with my friends and family and make the most of the best of situations, that is like what drives it from like, oh, this is good, to like, I really want to pursue this person, marry this person, have this person be my partner. But I think you also got to a good point there, Nick. Do you think at any point, because I've definitely done this, and Jared, curious if in the past you've done it when you were single, is you wonder if everything you're looking for is exactly what you want, what you're attracted to, but you're not compatible with, which gives you the same result, right? Like, are you looking for an equation that just doesn't work? And it's something I've thought about, I think about, I contemplate.
I mean, yeah.
That's, you know.
Let me speak from personal experience. Absolutely. Like, I always envisioned myself with somebody that was the complete opposite of Ashley, somebody who's a little bit more reserved and quiet. And not that Ashley's temperament is highly emotional, but she obviously, you know, might cry every once in a while. And so I always imagined myself with somebody like that. And then so somebody like Ashley comes along and I immediately think to myself, no, I mean, like, I love this girl, but she's not the girl for me. And then time goes on, and then I realized I'm a fucking idiot. And the girl that is meant for me, the best thing that has ever happened to my life, is right in front of me. And unless I do something, and unless I just forget all my insecurities and forget my assumptions about the person I should be with, the person that I should be with is right in front of me. And so I agree with you, man. Like, sometimes I think we have this idea in our head of who should be with, and we're kind of like pushing aside a lot of people that actually might be better for us.
Well,
the journey continues. I've found that simple thing. I am my laughs don't come cheap, and I'm definitely attracted to women whose laughs don't come cheap.
So you want somebody who makes you earn a good laugh.
I like someone who won't laugh at everyone's jokes, but like sometimes when you get them to laugh, you're like, I got you.
I like that.
I don't see eye to eye with you there at all.
Jason wants somebody who just fucking laughs at everything.
I just want like a fun, happy person that laughs.
I don't. I'm not saying they don't have to be fun or happy. They could be a lot of fun, but I don't know.
Damn it, Jason, I was going to ask you something about when you said emotional intelligence. I wrote it down.
I talk about like family, friends getting along, putting them in a room. They're like that's so attractive.
That's kind of a basic, right? Like, we all want people to get along with their family and friends. That just suck if they didn't.
Yeah, but I also think it's yet again a thing that has changed in the years, because I think a lot of people get along with their family and friends now. But I think that there were just certain subject matters years ago that were a lot more important in people's minds than they are today. And I think that has caused a lot of friction between in-laws.
Yeah, I have never seen, especially growing up, but to where I'm at now with some of my friends and friends of friends and people that have issues with in-laws and friends. I mean, that is serious stuff. I think one of my biggest takeaways from relationships of those I know are that when you marry someone, without a doubt, you marry their family. And that is such an important piece of the puzzle, because I have seen it cause catastrophic issues in marriages, engagements, etc. So I don't think that's always
I'm not saying it doesn't happen, and it's certainly a detriment.
You're just saying that's what you
the desire to have a partner who you enjoy their family and vice versa, and they enjoy yours. I don't think anyone's ever like ended up with someone and said, "Listen, I would really prefer them to hate my family or not."
That's fair.
And
no, but I think Jason was just saying the weight he puts on it maybe more so than other people.
Gotcha.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah, because I think and that's tough too. Like sometimes, I mean, I'm assuming these friends at one point when they met their person, they fell in love with them, they liked them, and they're like, "Man, their family fucking sucks." But do I break up with them because like I really love her or I love him or and eventually, yes, it sounds like it ended up ruining things, but I don't know.
Jared, let me ask you this. So we go back to the whole approach, the finding your person. Is there a place that you have found no, bar's fine. Is there a place that you have had a lot of success in breaking the ice with a woman? And is there a place that like under no circumstances you're like, no, like for instance, I will never approach a girl at a gym ever. And I know like a lot of people do it, and I think it's cliche. It just makes me so uncomfortable. There are places I would all day, and there's places I never would.
I don't like to use the words never and always. I would agree that I'd prefer not to at the gym for the reasons that you would never. But I agree. Shit, if you like run into a girl that you're just like... I will say this about the gym. When I was younger, I used to... My ego, I would really... I don't know about you, Jason, but growing up in Milwaukee, I would try, if I liked the girl, I would try to like get the number, like the bartender, the bartender or like the server girl.
Were you the type of person that you try to get the number, or would you leave your number on like a cocktail
No,
napkin?
I would get the number because I would ask her, and because I would, like from an ego standpoint, kind of the same thing as the gym is. I'm assuming other than. The gym's is slightly different because it's kind of an intimate. She's working out, but like for the same premise of a bartender is you don't want to be the guy who's like because you assume that she's always getting hit on, right? Like you don't want to hit on a girl at a gym because like every meathead in the gym is like, dude, hey babe, and she just like wants to work out, right? But if you really are into this person, all you have to do is just be different. Like the guys who are hitting at the bartenders at the bar, or the guys, it's always like they're hitting on them and they're probably being creepy, or they're checking him out, or they're whistling, or they're saying something inappropriate, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I think sometimes in the past, I don't know if I've ever hit a girl in a gym, but I'm not saying I wouldn't. But if I was really intrigued by someone,
not saying I'm above that or anything.
I'm not above hitting. I'm at this point, I'm not above anything.
If I'm doing chest one day and she's looking
but I
over.
think the important thing, here to remember is that if you are intrigued by someone in these situations where it's not ideal to hit on someone, like say the gym or their place of work, is you just have to like recognize their point of view.
Yes.
You have to like, and if I ever hit on a bartender or whatever, I would go up to her and I'd say something like, "Hey, listen, I don't mean to be like every other guy. And in fact, I am certain that you have a boyfriend. So, and I don't want to bother you, but on the off chance you don't."
Can I ask you something that might make us sound a little douchey, but whatever? When people come up to you and ask for a picture, do you prefer somebody walking up to you and say, "Hey, can I get a picture?" Or do you prefer somebody walking up and said, "I know everybody's asking you for one. I don't want to be this person. I'm so sorry, but can I get a picture?" Because when you're asking the bartender,
it's a little different.
I would say it's different, but it's also similar. To be like, to go to the bartender instead of just ask.
Totally. I'm on Jared. I'm on Jared's side here.
Just ask him.
Again. I hate to sit here and talk about like, oh my god, when I'm asked about a picture, but the reality situation is now coming off the show. It happens.
I think it's different.
I feel like I'm much more settled than when someone's like, "Hey, I liked you on the show. Can I get a picture?" As opposed to when someone's like overly apologetic about, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry." And it's like I almost feel weird. Like, well, we don't have to. Like,
you're not overly apologetic. I'm like a passing thought. I'm not saying I wouldn't go up to a girl and be like, "Hey, I'm so sorry for doing this. I really apologize," and then apologize 15 other times.
Totally.
I don't do that. I know what you're talking about in terms of like the fan who comes up and be like, "I'm so sorry. I don't want to do that."
And you are still. Is it okay? You're still a very wonderful fan.
Do you guys watch Ozark? Do you guys watch Ozark?
Yeah, it's a great show.
There is a scene All right, there's a scene in the second season I'll never forget. And it's when Nick, it's when I'm blanking on his name, the farmer guy, the farmer guy with the heroin fields?
Yeah.
Garrett?
Anyway, so
the older
the older guy. The other's okay. Anyway, the scene is this. He's a Marine, and he's sitting down talking at coffee with this girl. And she's very soft-spoken, and she's talking in circles about nothing. And then it's a flashback with his wife and him. They're now married. It's this flashback of this girl that comes in, so assertive, and probably way too aggressively pushes the girl over, and pretty much says, like, this is who I am. This is what I want. You're going to walk out this door with me right now, and you're never going to regret it. And it was like this scene that I'll never forget, because there was like a lot of truth to it. And what do you know? He walked out the door there, and he's married 60 years later. People are attracted. And now we're talking about a fake show.
Sure. I listen, I'm definitely attracted to that girl. I'm just talking about in the situation where, like, why you won't hit on a girl at a bar is because you don't want to be... why don't you want to hit on a girl at a gym?
Because you don't want to be that guy, of course.
You don't want to be that guy, right? Yeah. So I'm just simply saying that if you are really intrigued by a girl and, like, you're at a gym, there's this girl, like, you're like, oh my God, she's fucking incredible. Like, I don't know where she's from. I gotta say something. You just gotta, like... be different than any other guy. Maybe it's just being polite and just saying, hey, listen, I don't want to bother you, but I would regret, something like that. Anything. And listen, at the end of the day, either she's going to be interested or not. And if you're cute enough and if she's interested in you, she will want you to hang. I'm assuming. I mean, I don't want to get bugged, but like, if you're saying, like, if there was a girl who I thought wanted to come take a picture with me and I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm hanging out with my friends, but turns out I think she's the most beautiful girl in the world, I will do whatever she wants. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
of course, but that's a different argument. Totally. What I'm saying, but I want to tell a quick story about what you're talking about hitting on the gym. I used to go to Planet Fitness, the no judgment zone. And this was in my early 20s, and there was a girl there that was so cute. I wanted to talk to her. I saw her probably at the gym 3 or 4 times a week. Like, it would be that weird thing where, like, I was walking out and, like, or she would hold the door for me or something. I'd be like, oh, thank you, and want to say something else, but just not have the balls to. And there was this other guy at the gym that would always talk to her. He'd always go up to her. And I always thought to myself, well, there's that guy. But here's the thing. He's got the balls to go up to her and say something. And I'm too afraid because I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah, that's my point. It's just like you can't. You got to shoot some. You got to be willing to strike out sometimes. I don't know.
And because of stories like that, Craigslist added Craigslist misconnections.
That's it.
I'm just kidding.
Do you know how many misconnections there must be out there for you, Jason, right now? It must be
millions.
Absurd. Millions.
I need it.
I saw Jason.
I mean, everyone does, though, Jared. Everyone has millions of misconnections. How many times do you walk in a grocery store, an airport, outside, and you kind of like give someone a quick glance, but you're like, there's no way I have it. I got to go. There's so many misconnections every day for every single person. And I think that's what is like the worst part. It's brutal.
Yeah, because you never know. You never know if maybe you should have just took a left instead of taking a right, and you would be with your soulmate right now. Who really knows? That's life. But guys, thank you so much for listening to the guys version of the I Don't Get It podcast. Jason, you're awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in. Jesus Christ, for calling in to the podcast. Absolutely. All the way from Seattle. And you're going to be in LA this week?
I'm going to be in LA this weekend. So hopefully we can all grab a beer.
When are you moving here? Get your ass to LA. We'll talk this weekend over a couple of brewskis,
A couple of brews.
Nick, you are always just so honest and incredible and such a good man. And do you have any closing thoughts?
No.
Man. Well, guys, thank you so much. You're both awesome for joining in. You can tune in next week. And Lauren, Ashley, and Naz will be back on talking about things that they just really don't get.
Well, I hope that was helpful and entertaining. I'm sure Nick Viall graced us with amazing help.
Well, I mean, he probably just talked about his own personal experience with online dating,
which is always interesting.
Again, guys, we're pre-recording this outro, so we have no idea what they just said. But we love you guys. Subscribe. We hope you like this podcast, and follow us on Instagram at I Don't Get It Podcast. Bye.
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 Podcast. This podcast is brought to you by Wave Podcast Network. Check out all of our shows, including the Brain Candy Podcast, I Don't Get It, Babes and Babies, Coffee Convos, and Let's Talk About It.